Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
I love Reverend Michael. I just think I love. Thank you so much. So my topic today is, what is enough? You know, we're living in this time where people are wanting more. They want more success. They want more money. They want more love. They want more possessions. And sometimes when you want so much, when you want so much more, you lose sight of what's really important. What's really important to you. So what is enough? The question of what is enough causes us, challenges us to pause, to reflect, to go in and really get clear. What do we really value? What are our priorities? How do we want to make a difference in this world? How do we want to change the trajectory of things that may be challenging us in a moment? I know about this because I grew up on welfare in Minneapolis to a single mom. My cousins, there were 12 of us within a very short radius of one another. And oh my goodness, the conversations of lack were endless. We were going to the poorhouse. Nobody knew where it was, but we were definitely going. Because we didn't have enough love, we didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough peace. We didn't have enough grace, which was odd to me because we were African Methodist Episcopals, right? So you know we went to church. But we would leave church with all this joy and happiness and go home and talk about lack. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture. So for me, it was like, how do I get out of here? How do I have a better life? How do I have a life where there's abundance? How do I get to travel all over the world? And today, I do all those things. What I didn't know back then, though, was that I had to get to a place where I shifted my mindset. And I shifted my ways of being. You know, Charles Fillmore said, we are living magnets. We attract to us what is in harmony with our dominant thoughts. So you can imagine, here I am dreaming all these big things, and I kept having interesting experiences. What was really important to me, though, is like, I am a seeker. I love to learn and I love to grow. So I started exploring, you know, and I was like, well, I didn't understand why all the conversations in our spiritual community were about God being mad, because I couldn't understand, how can God be love and mad at you at the same time? So I'm like, well, what if there's really a loving God? How does that relate to me? What does that mean for me? And that started me on a lifelong search. Because I grew up in interesting experiences, and there was a lot of violence and stuff, safety and security became very important to me. And I think for all human beings, security and safety is a guiding force. So I love to look up words, and the word secure comes from two Latin words, S-E-C, meaning without, and cure, meaning care. So if you are secure, you're not worried. You feel safe. You feel anchored. You feel that you can trust the universe. And for me, that means you're standing in a place of divine faith and understanding and trust. Now, I am not unaware that we're living in interesting times. There's a lot of challenges going on individually and collectively and around this world. Health, money, economics, all kinds of stuff is going on. And if you focus on that, you know that statement, where you put your attention, you go. If you put your attention on that, then if what Charles Fillmore said is true, then your thoughts become magnets to bring to you the thing that you are not wanting. Now, if you recognize that you are a divine being, then you start recognizing that it's important to begin to witness, to observe your thought patterns, your emotional attachment. You know, we as humans, we are so attached to stuff, aren't we? Can we talk about storage units? Do you know what a big industry storage units are? We fill up our house, and when we can't get any more in the house, we go get a storage unit. And a lot of times, we don't even go back to visit them again. You know, it's so interesting because all those storage units, what they are is a form of human hoarding because of emotional attachments. We're attached to the memories. We're attached to our mama's stuff. We're attached to what the ancestors gave us. I know this is going to come a shock, but when you leave, you're not taking it with you. So the thing is it isn't really the stuff that we're attached to. Our emotions are attached to feeling safe and secure through those memories. I train coaches in my work, and one of my coaches called me recently. Her mother had to go into a facility, and she had to clean out her mother's home, and she wasn't going to have a lot of help from her family. And she was really upset because her mother was a hoarder. So all by herself, she had to go through this house and clear it out so that she could sell the house so that she could take care of her mother, right? I understand that. My mother was a hoarder. You know, who needs 20 pairs of scissors? But just in case, she was going to have them. So at one point, she became incapacitated, and we couldn't take care of her, and she couldn't take care of herself. So we were putting her in a nursing home. She had a 1-bedroom apartment with more stuff than most of you could put in a 3-bedroom apartment. So here I was, sitting in the middle of the floor, trying to figure out what I was going to get rid of, what I was going to take to the nursing home. I mean, and I'm overwhelmed. So I called my prayer partner. He says, first of all, how about you breathe? Second of all, you can only do 1 box and 1 bag at a time. So how about we call in your angels to be with you as you go through this process? And this is the thing, when you're overwhelmed or in challenge, isn't it interesting that we forget about God? We call our sister, we call our brother, we call our prayer partners, but we forget God is the source. God is going to take care of you. God is what brought you this far. God is what has taken you to a whole nother way of being. Stuff will never make you happy. People will never make you happy. Have you noticed that they disappoint you sometimes? We're living in a place right now, in a world that's divided. And people are not talking to each other because of politics or because of religion or different points of view. These are the same people that told you a year ago that they loved you. These are the same people that asked for prayer 6 years ago when they were going through something. What could possibly have changed except the mindset and the thoughts thinking that there is separation? There is no separation. If you look around this room, whoa, we're beautiful. We're powerful, dynamic, mighty beings of light. We come here to bring that energy. We come here to bring truth and light and love. You are abundant. The interesting thing is that Spirit breathed its life into you because it needed you to fulfill its energy on the planet. And so you can trust that no matter what it looks like, you're going to be taken care of. So I was an associate minister at Mile High Church in Denver, which is a large community. And in my 11th year, in my meditations, I start getting these messages that I'm to leave. And I'm like, and go where? And it kept coming in my meditation. It's time for you to leave. It's time for you to leave. And I'm like, okay, God, but, I really do want to be obedient, but where am I going? And it said, get an office. Now, listen, y'all. I had no business. I had no clients. So why was this energy telling me to get an office? I'm like, okay. So I talked to a couple of people, and they're opening an office. And I remember Joe Goldsmith. And one of the stories about him was that he opened this office and he had no furniture, right? And he would sit in that room and he would meditate for hours and hours. And by the time he left the planet, droves of people were coming through a day that were having instantaneous healings. So I said, I can meditate in an office, but I'm going to decorate it because I don't want to sit on the floor. So I do this, and I joined a leadership program because I wanted to learn how do I really run a business. I've helped other people run theirs, but I didn't know how to run mine. And so I did that. And I want to tell you 3 things that happened. The first thing was that this leadership program, which I invested quite a bit of my savings, started paying itself off within a year. And people were coming to me for my coaching practices that I wasn't marketing because I didn't even know how to market yet. The second thing was that a woman had called me. I was hearing in my meditations, take people on trips. Take people on trips. And I'm like, to where? And so I get a phone call, and the woman says, listen, I work with this woman named Lauren Arteris, who is a labyrinth expert. And she's looking for facilitators to come to Chartres in France and do some work with her. And I'm like, really? So I said, okay. So I talked to her, and that sounded interesting. And she says, how about you bring some people with you if you want? I go, okay. So I put it out, and I didn't have a ton of followers, y'all. I not at that time. And so I put it out, and 60 people signed up. So we had to split them in half because 60 was too many. What I didn't know at that time is that trip opened a portal that became a whole aspect of my business. I take people on pilgrimages to sacred sites. So we've gone to France, we've gone to Peru, we've done Mary Magdalene tours, we've done Egypt, we've done Dom and her in the temples of humankind. And I'm telling you this because when I was young, I didn't know how to listen to my intuitive knowing. I didn't know how to listen to that still small voice within, because it's always talking to you. And it's tapping you on the shoulder, and it's whispering in your ear. And then when you don't listen, it sort of taps you upside the head, and then it'll sit you down. So I got tired of being sit down, so I started listening. So the last thing I want to tell you is, in one of my classes, there was this man who had an interesting accent. I didn't know what he did, but he would come to my classes, and he came up to me, and he says, I've got 2 questions for you. And I said, okay, what are they? He said, how do I become one of your coaches? And I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a professor. I said, well, why do you want to be a coach? And he said, because someday I'm going to retire. Plus, I want to know how to work with my students, and I want to work with my colleagues because it can be stressful being a professor. So he goes and he goes through the program. I said, okay, what's the second thing? He says, I want you to come and teach with me. I said, where do you teach? He said, School of Mines. School of Mines is an engineering school. Look at me, people. Engineering? And I said, you have to be kidding. He said, no, we're going to teach science and spirituality. And I was like, science. I did not do well in science. He said, but you know spirituality, and you know mindset, and you know how to teach people to do integrated processes for their mind, body, and spirit. So I went into this class. Now, this is what I want to tell you. When you are divinely guided to go somewhere, it doesn't mean you're confident. It doesn't mean you actually know what you're doing. Because here I am standing in front of 40 college students, engineering students, and I'm like, I prayed a lot that first time. What has happened since then, though, is we have done 3 years of fall and spring classes, 40 students each with waiting lists, wanting to know science and spirituality. So I teach the spirit part, and he brings in the science. The last thing I want to tell you about that is, he said, I want to teach teachers, professors, STEM professors, on how to be more compassionate and loving in their classrooms. So he sent in a grant, and he got a 3-year grant from Templeton to work with teachers and do online things for STEM professors. One of the faculty members, there are 4 of us, just did another one and got a 3-year grant from Wake Forest, which is really about taking that whole program across the country. I'm telling you all of this because none of this was on my list. None of this was on my goals. But I did say to God, use me, lift me up, move me. I want to tell you what Eric Butterworth said. He said, the goal should not be to make money or acquire things, but to achieve the consciousness through which substance will flow forth when and as you need it. You are a divine spark. Make no mistake about it. You're unrepeatable. You're here because there is something in this universe that wants to use you to do something nobody else can do on the planet. Only you can do it, the way you can do it. And so it's not about money ever. If you are connected to that purpose that is encoded within you, it will become a living magnet to pull what you need. The places to live, how you want to thrive, how you want to soar. There is nothing in the way but your thoughts and old thought patterns that can stop the flow. There is no reason I should be standing up here doing what I'm doing except for divine guidance. Because there are many people in my family still living some of the same things that I lived as a child. So I want to tell you what is enough. Quality over quantity. Revealing the purpose that lives within you. You don't have to find it. Contentment and fulfillment, what brings you joy. Gratitude for what you have right now, because it's enough. Self-acceptance and self-love. Living the spiritual principles that you learned here. Living within your means. The credit card companies love us. Let go of perfectionism and comparison. You don't have to do what anybody else does. You don't have to have what anybody else has. Oh my goodness. You're enough because you exist. I'm going to sing a song for you. It's from my latest album. The album is called Chosen. And I wrote this song, which is the title song, because it was coming through my meditation. So you can close your eyes if you want, or you can just listen. But I want you to listen as if I wrote the song for you. I knew I was chosen, my destiny assured. Beyond circumstances, I'm here to be heard. I knew I was chosen. How'd I land in this place? Tired of being frozen, tired of the rat race. I knew I was chosen beyond the hurt inside. The ways I was treated, my dreams were denied. I knew I was chosen, release the pain inside. Beyond circumstances, I'm here not to hide. Voice within told me, have no fear. The voice of 1,000 angels will guide you, my dear. The voice within told me, release the fear. Love of 1,000 angels will guide you, my dear. I knew I was chosen from the very start. The still small voice within said, open your heart. I knew I was chosen. I came to lift my voice, stop running from myself and make a different choice. The voice within told me, have no fear. The voice of 1,000 angels will guide you, my dear. Voice within told me, release the fear. Love of 1,000 angels will guide you, my dear. Hear the angels. Ooh, hear the angels. Hear the angels. I knew I was chosen for this moment in time. I'm here as a blessing, no reason or rhyme. I knew I was chosen. I'm well on my way. I stand in my power. I'm here to stay. I knew I was chosen. Thank you so much. So let's take that truth into prayer. How incredibly amazing it is to be alive. To recognize that there is a divine presence that is infinite, everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful. That energy, that divine energy, is a field of possibility and potentiality that is infinite, and we are divine sparks of that field, of that energy. So we breathe that in, knowing that whatever is going on in our lives, whatever may be challenging us in this moment, whether it is personal, whether it is professional, or where it is on the world stage, what we know is God is. God is here. In every thought, every word, every deed. And so we get to choose in this moment to put our attention on what we desire to create, what we value, what's important, what legacy do we want to leave, more love, more peace, more grace, more harmony, more freedom, more light, more abundance. We call that in. And we give thanks for this amazing community, this space that is a yes in the mind of God, where we can enter and be nourished and nurtured and supported and lifted moment by moment by moment. We give thanks that we are transmitters of light and love, and we can send energy across this city, across this country, across this planet. Oh, how wonderful to know that in this very moment, everything is for us. The universe is conspiring for us, to lift us, to heal us, to transform us, to nurture us. And so we just give thanks. We give thanks. And we set an intention this day to move out from this space to be more love, to be more grace. We bless every single person in this community who may not be here today, who may be struggling. We bless this community because we know that our giving, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial, lifts this message up that is so needed in this moment. And so I give thanks because what I know is that a healing has taken place in this moment beyond what we can see or think, because the invisible corresponds to the visible always. So I just simply let go, and I trust this glorious process called life, giving thanks on every level and allowing it to be. And say, thank you, Father, Mother God, for this life, for this breath. And so it is.
Watching this message today, I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.